behind your back! Arms behind your back!
Don't say nothing, bro, at all.
When 5 knife-obsessed teenagers pack into a stolen car and hit the streets with violence and theft on their minds, a road trip quickly takes a dark turn. They lock eyes on a man whose only mistake was wearing a Gucci bag. He becomes their target. Armed with hunting knives and no sense of consequence, the group moves in for the attack. But the chaos that follows spirals far beyond their control. As sirens close in and the police begin to circle, the fearless facade starts to crack. Arrests are made, tears fall, loyalties dissolve. And soon it's every teen for themselves, pointing fingers, telling stories, and trying to escape the weight of what they've done. It's the early hours of June 10th, 2021. 2 teenagers, Elliot Fiteni and Louis Aquilina, are prowling the quiet streets, hunting for high-performance Ford cars. They know something most people don't. Ford vehicles manufactured between 2013 and 2017 have a serious vulnerability, and they've come prepared to exploit it. With a blank key and a handheld programmer, the teens can digitally forge a new key in minutes, giving them full access to any targeted vehicle. It doesn't take long before they spot exactly what they're looking for: a Ford Fiesta ST. They get to work, and within moments they're driving off in their latest prize. This isn't a one-off stunt. Elliot and Louis have made a habit of stealing these cars, often selling them on for just £600. But sometimes, like tonight, they have other plans. They slap on false number plates and keep the vehicle for themselves, for more serious, more dangerous crimes. By the evening of the same day, the duo has regrouped. This time, they're not alone. 3 more teenagers have joined them: Ethan Strickland, Joseph Jeremy, and Kyle Races. Now 5 strong, the group piles into the stolen Ford, setting out on a short but sinister journey from Cardiff to Newport, a 13-mile drive. But the group wasn't just out for a ride. They were armed, carrying hunting knives, and they weren't shy about their intentions. They were looking for trouble, eager to use the weapons they carried. The night was only just beginning. As the stolen Ford crept through the streets of Newport, one of the teens spotted a man walking alone. Slung across his shoulder, a designer Gucci bag. That was all it took. A quick conversation followed, short and cold. They were going to rob him. Everyone agreed. The car pulled over. Joseph Jeremy and Louis Aquilina jumped out, both armed with savage Rambo-style knives. They advanced quickly, closing in on their unsuspecting victim. But the man saw them coming. Alarmed, he tried to run, but in a cruel twist of fate, he stumbled and fell. What happened next was nothing short of brutal. The 2 teens pounced. The attack was frenzied and merciless. The victim suffered multiple stab wounds, 3 of them piercing his heart and both sides of his chest. His life slipping away with every second, the attackers snatched the Gucci bag and sprinted back to the waiting Ford. But the getaway didn't go to plan. Their driver, Elliot Fiteni, unfamiliar with the area, turned straight into a cul-de-sac. They were forced to double back, driving right past the scene of their own crime. By now, members of the public were rushing to help the man bleeding out on the pavement. As the stolen car passed by, it slowed, and then, chillingly, mocking laughter echoed from inside before they sped off again. They didn't lay low. Instead, they drove straight to a nearby petrol station, bold and unshaken, as if the attack had never happened. It was there that Elliot Fiteni returned the keys to Louis Aquilina, the original driver before the attack had forced a change. But witnesses weren't fooled. Disturbed by the callous laughter from the Ford, they took note of the car's number plate and immediately contacted emergency services. Police and paramedics rushed to the scene, where they found 26-year-old Ryan O'Connor critically injured. Despite their desperate efforts to save him, he was pronounced dead at the scene. Meanwhile, A manhunt was already in motion. Police had the Ford's number plate, and automatic recognition cameras across the area were scanning every passing vehicle. It didn't take long. A ping came through. The stolen Ford had been spotted. Within moments, police were behind it. But the car didn't stop.
No fucking Rambo.
taser! Right. Oi! Arms with taser now! Get down! Get down now! Arms behind your back! Arms behind your back! Arms behind your back! Get your arms behind your back!
Okay. Kilo Fox 1 making your way to this decaf.
Get your arms behind your back! Officer with taser! You're under arrest on suspicion of murder, you
It wasn't a thing to do.
You're going to prison for life!
With 2 of the teens now in custody, the chaos wasn't over. The remaining 3 weren't ready to surrender. As the stolen Ford came to a stop, doors flew open and the pursuit exploded onto the streets. Joseph Jeremy bolted in one direction, sprinting through alleyways and back streets, while Elliot Fiteni and Ethan Strickland stuck together. But in a shocking twist, Joseph wasn't just running, he was filming. Somehow, in the middle of the chaos, he pulled out his phone and began recording the ordeal. The video ended where the chase did, with Joseph Jeremy being tracked and arrested by armed police. He had documented his own downfall in real time.
Yo. I got my phone, innit?
Stand up, turn around for me. Turn around, on your knees. Get on your knees now. Hands behind your back. Put your phone down.
I want to film.
Meanwhile, Ethan Strickland and Elliot Fiteni had found temporary shelter inside a nearby block of flats. Breathless and panicked, they tucked themselves away, hoping to wait out the heat. But outside, the net was closing fast. Police had already locked down the entire area. There was nowhere left to run. With the building surrounded, officers moved in. The two teens were found and arrested without further struggle.
Don't say nothing, bro. At all.
Right.
Come on, bro.
Don't speak.
You know how it works, so.
Let me explain to you.
Yeah, but
If you try to interfere in the
Alright, I won't speak again. Alright.
I just want to explain to the reasons why.
Yeah, go.
If you're seen to be interfering in the investigation, that's a further offence of the
Alright, sorry.
justice,
I didn't understand.
which you would be committing.
Alright, I'm sorry. I won't say nothing.
Alright, it's okay.
Hey, you've been taken down so they can investigate it, that's all. Alright, get your side of the story about where you've been. And if you haven't done anything, no one's going to do you for anything, alright? That's not how it works, mate, especially with something so serious, okay? Yeah? You understanding that? Yeah? So let's not get yourself upset. We've got to do the job, it's got to be investigated because it's so serious, someone's been killed tonight. Yeah? We've got to work it out, don't we? Why? Someone's been stabbed in Newport.
The chase was over. All 5 teens were now in custody. But despite Elliot Fiteni's tough talk, telling Ethan to keep quiet as they were arrested, things quickly unraveled. Ethan didn't stay silent, and surprisingly, neither did Elliot. The bravado was gone, the loyalty out the window. Within hours, both teens were talking fast, and as the pressure mounted, the finger-pointing began. Elliot, who had always tried to present himself as the hard one, suddenly became the police's most eager talker. He spilled everything: names, roles, movements. Nothing was off limits. It didn't end there. On his social media, he had previously shared cocky quotes, statements about silence, loyalty, all of which stood in stark contrast to the way he folded under pressure. What he preached online was one thing. What he did in an interview room was something else entirely. Back at the stolen Ford, police began their forensic sweep. Inside, they found 2 knives, one of them a massive 15-inch hunting blade stained with Ryan O'Connor's blood. A third knife was recovered near the crime scene in Newport, discarded during the chaos. It had taken police approximately 45 minutes from the time of the attack to get behind the stolen Ford. But in that short window, the group made a detour. They drove to Kyle Razis's home. There, they dropped off Ryan's Gucci bag before heading back out, unknowingly straight into the path of a police pursuit. That bag was later recovered by officers during a search of the property, another piece of damning evidence in an already overwhelming case. But the most disturbing discoveries came after the arrests. When police seized and analyzed the group's phones, a grim pattern emerged, a clear obsession with knives. Dozens of photos and videos showed the teens posing with blades, flaunting their weapons like trophies. Even more chilling, footage of them chasing other victims with knives, treating violence like a game. This wasn't just one night gone wrong. It was the product of a dark culture these teens had fully embraced. In court, Elliot Fiteni tried to distance himself from the violence. He claimed the group had only traveled to Newport to buy cannabis. According to him, once they arrived, they spotted police nearby and decided to change direction. He said he told the driver, Luis Aquilina, to get out of here. But then, without warning, Aquilina slammed on the brakes and jumped out of the car, Joseph Jeremy right behind him. Fiteni told the court that in the chaos, he climbed into the driver's seat, planning to leave them behind. But just as he was about to pull away, someone in the back seat shouted at him to stop. Aquilina and Jeremy were running back. It all happened within 10 seconds, Fiteni said. He then told the court that he glanced back and saw blood on the knife for the first time. That, he insisted, was the moment he realized what had just happened. He painted Jeremy as unhinged and remorseless, laughing in the back seat, excited and animated. He was like a child, Fiteni said, all excited and joking, like a psychopath. Joseph Jeremy, 18 at the time of the attack, was found guilty of both murder and robbery. The court sentenced him to life in prison, with a minimum of 24 years to serve. On top of that, he received 12 years served concurrently for robbery. But that wasn't all. Jeremy was also convicted of unrelated crimes, including possession of an imitation firearm and burglary. His future sealed behind bars. Louis Aquilina, 19 at the time of the offense, was also found guilty of murder and robbery. He too was handed a life sentence with a minimum term of 22 years. Like Jeremy, he received an additional 12 years concurrently for robbery. Ethan Strickland, 18 at the time, was cleared of murder but found guilty of robbery. He was also convicted of possessing cocaine with intent to supply, something he'd been doing with his sister before the night of the attack. He was sentenced to 8 years in prison. He'll serve 5 years and 4 months behind bars, the rest on license. Kyle Racis, 17 at the time of the murder and the cousin of Aquilina, was found not guilty of murder, but guilty of both manslaughter and robbery. The court sentenced him to 12 years, 8 to be served in custody. He'll then serve the remaining 4 years on license. He was handed an additional sentence for the robbery charge, bringing his total custodial time to 8 more years. And then there was Elliot Fiteni. Despite being at the heart of the story, he was found not guilty on all counts: murder, manslaughter, and robbery. He walked free from court, cleared of every charge. But Fiteni's time in the shadows wasn't over. Not long after, he found himself back in front of a judge, this time for car theft. Then, in 2024, police issued a £10,000 reward for information leading to his arrest after he was linked to an attempted murder. Once again, he stood trial, and once again, he was acquitted. Some say he's lucky, some say he's a snitch, others say he's just waiting for his luck to run out. Ryan O'Connor was just 26 years old when his life was stolen in a senseless, brutal attack. He wasn't looking for trouble. He wasn't part of a gang. He was simply walking home after a meal with his family, completely unaware that 5 teenagers, armed with knives and driven by chaos, were circling the streets in a stolen car. But Ryan's story doesn't end at the crime scene. At the time of his death, Ryan was expecting a child he would never get the chance to meet, a child who will grow up never knowing their father, only hearing about his life through memories and photographs. And while Ryan's family fought for justice in courtrooms and endured the pain of the trial, tragedy struck again. Ryan's father passed away before justice could be fully served. Grieving the loss of his son, he never lived to see those responsible sentenced. Ryan's death sent shockwaves through the community, a heartbreaking reminder of how fragile life can be and how quickly it can be taken by senseless violence. In the end, the gang who thought they were untouchable were brought down, not just by police, but by their own arrogance, their own phones, their own actions, and even their own friends. But no sentence, no conviction, no number of years can undo what they did, and no courtroom can return Ryan to the family who loved him.